Hello, in this video I'm going to be going through my 2023 Advent of Code Day 2 solutions. So let's get straight into it. In this problem we're giving this input here, where we have different games that are played involving different coloured cubes. So we have, in this input for game 1 we have 3 blue cubes, then 4 red cubes. But then we have this semicolon, which means that we put all the cubes back into the bag. Then we take 1 red cube out and 2 green cubes and 6 blue cubes. Then we put them all back in. And then we take out 2 green cubes again. And we do a similar thing for all of the games. And now we need to know if the bag only contains 12 red cubes, 13 green cubes and 14 blue cubes, how many games would be possible, basically. And we need to find the sum of the IDs of the games. So game 1, game 2, for example. So, yeah, I'm going to copy this input and put it into Visual Studio Code. So I've got my input here now. I've also set up a little template, so I just got file system and I'm reading the input, basically. And then I've just got these part 1 and part 2 functions. Now for part 1, we're just going to let a total be 0 first, because we're going to be summing the IDs at the end. Then we can say for let line of input dot split, and we're going to be splitting at every different line. Or we can call this game. That's probably easier. Let game game ID and the actual like game data equal line or game dot split here, because we're separating between the comma between the colon, sorry. So this is the game ID value and this is the game data value. Now what we can say is we need to get all the different like sets of games. So let game set for let game set of game data dot split, and we're going to be splitting at semicolon space. Then what we can say is we're going to say let cube count equals red is going to be 12, green is going to be 13. I just put 13 twice, and then blue is going to be 14. Okay, so now we've got that. What we need to do is we can say, oh yeah, that is correct. Then we can say for let cube of game set dot split, a comma, and this is going to give us all the cubes. Then we can say let count count color equal cube dot split at space, because you can see here we have 8 green, so we just need to split by that space. And now we've got those values, we can say cube count color minus equals parsing count. Now we've done that, whenever we have a cube, we should be taking away from these cube count values. Then what we can say is for let key of object.keys, cube counts it should be really, because there's multiple of them. We're going to say if cube count key is less than 0, So if we're taking out more than we have in the bag, valid, which I need to define up here, for each game, I think. Yes. Let valid equal true. But here we're just going to set valid to false. And then we're going to break. Then down here, what we can say is if it's valid, then we're going to add the game value ID. So if valid total plus equals parseInt of game ID dot split space, and then we're getting the second item or the first index. Finally, all we need to do is return the total. So if we run this, we see we get 8, which is the same as the test input data. So now we can just get our puzzle input. And if we paste this into here, then if we run this, we get 2776. If we look back here, the answer was 2776. So that's correct. Now for part 2, it's a similar-ish thing, but we need to find what is the fewest number of cubes of each color that we can have. So for example here, we have in game 1, just looking at blue colors, we have 3 blue, and then we put them back in, then 6 blue. So we need 6 blue. And then once we got this for each of the colors, we need to multiply them together to get the power. Then finally we just add all of these up. So I'm going to just copy some code into the part 2. I'm just going to copy all of this, and then we can modify some of it and add a few bits. So we don't need a valid anymore because we're not determining if it's valid or not. So we can get rid of these and the break. Now we also need to keep track of the sort of global count. So I'm going to copy this. And for each game, we need to know what the number of cubes that we needed it are, even though, yeah. So for each like game set, we're going to have a count. And if that count is greater than the global count, then we're going to change the global count to be that local count value. So global counts, local counts. And it will make sense in a minute. We're going to set all of these to 0. And then what we're going to say is we're going through this split again, and then we're adding the count plus equal to local counts. And then for each key of local counts, we're going to say if local counts.key is greater than global counts key, then we're going to set global counts key equal to local counts key. Finally, we can multiply them together and add up the total, and that should be about it. Total plus equals global counts dot red times global counts dot blue if I can spell, times global counts dot green. And I believe that should be it. So if we run this, we get 68638. And if we look here, that is the value that we should be getting. So that's how I did Advent of Code 2023, day 2 in JavaScript.